LUMIX finally did it. We're here. We've all been waiting for the Panasonic LUMIX GH6. Specs already been released. Right now we're waiting on the actual date, and it's supposed to be a live video in a few days. But today, I'm trying to make this determination. When the GH5 first came out, it was revolutionary. It allowed independent filmmakers or new creators or content creators to be able to make, film like Hollywood almost-esque type film. This camera, I don't even like to call it a camera, it's like a baby cinema camera, but it's been revolutionary. I mean, it came out about 5 years ago, and at the time it was just ahead of its time. But today what we're going to talk about is upgrading this beast right here, the GH5 to the GH6, and we're going to talk about whether or not it's worth it or not. Stay tuned. So the rave film creators, content creators, everybody's using this camera. This camera's actually been used on Narcos. The GH5 has been used on some of the scenes. HBO, Vice use these cameras all the time for the documentary work. This camera is a beast. I've used it for commercial events, live events, shot music videos with it. I've shot content stuff with it. This GH5, it's rugged. I've been satisfied with this camera. I love it. I don't really know what else to say. I love this camera. We all know the big elephant in the room with the GH5 series, and because it has the Micro Four Thirds processor, we all aware of the low light capabilities, which, a lot of my stuff is shot in controlled environments, so low light is not an issue. But however, outside or, areas where you can't control the lighting or in dark situations, you come across a lot of challenges. However, myself, at the time, I knew this. I did my research on the GH5, and I decided, hey, one of the biggest things in cinematic filmmaking is lighting, right? So I'm like, if this sensor has bad lighting and I can get good lighting and I can produce it with this camera, this will like close the gap on a big learning curve with just lighting. So that's one reason why I got this. And the other elephant in the room with this camera is the fact that the autofocus sucks. So, I've been eager to hear about the, for the release date of the GH6. However, with that in mind, I have not been really looking forward to replacing this camera unless it has basically autofocus capabilities like the Sony that I'm shooting on. All these Sonys, I'm shooting with the A7 III on the main camera, and I got two 6400s, but the autofocus on those is great. However, the picture quality that I get out of this, the bit depth that I get out of the GH5 is just remarkable. The things that you can do in post with with the vlog, shooting in 10-bit output to the Atomos Ninja, it's just remarkable. Now, right now on Amazon, I see the GH5 for $1,150. That's the cheapest I see it. It's going for $1,300 on average, but I've seen it for brand new out the box, $1,150. Right now with the specs in this camera, you still can't get any other camera can beat that price point. That price point is insane. You can't beat it. With the GH6 coming out, it's been rumored, pretty much confirmed, that it's going to come out at $2,500. What I want to talk about today is the $2,500 GH6 versus the $1,150 GH5. So basically what you're looking at is a difference of $1,350. So the big question is, what are you getting for $1,350? Is it really worth the upgrade? You got the GH5 2, you got the GH5S, you got other options out there, but if you still got the GH5 like myself, it would only make sense to go. If you're gonna upgrade, you might as well just go all the way. They got dual ISO on it and so forth. So I'm like, if you all these options that they have available, it's like, is it even worth it to upgrade the full frame like that the S1H? But however, that does mean replacing all your glass from Micro Four Thirds to those full frame lenses, and those are very expensive. So I'm not really looking to do that. So my question is, am I going to replace the GH5? So let's talk about some of the bad things that would make me, I want to say bad things, but you know, some areas of opportunity with this camera that would make me make that jump for that extra, you know, $2,500 into a new body, the GH6. I'm comfortable shooting manual focus, and I knew that the autofocus was bad, and I wanted to learn how to shoot manually and be able to focus pull and so forth. So I was okay with that. I wanted to learn that. Now for $1,350, you're gonna have to give me great autofocus. And I'm not talking about a little bit better than the GH5. I'm talking about somewhere close to the Sony. It don't have to be as good as the Sony, but it has to be usable. I mean, the autofocus in this is just very, it's very unusable. I mean, it's contrast-based autofocus. You know, the Sony uses the pixel points and all that stuff, and they got the good face recognition and so forth. However, the GH6 is rumored to have face recognition. Now the question is, how good is it? Is it still contrast based? Like what is it based off of? You know, what type of tests, you know, have they been doing? You know, also the low light performance, you know, outside, you know, it's really hard. If you don't have lighting or control lighting, I'm not gonna lie, it's really hard. That's why I decided to get Sony cameras for times where the GH5 is not gonna be able to perform to its capacity, especially if you're like in a club or something at night, or getting a performance, or you're getting a live event or something like that, where, you know, especially when you go to an event and you have no idea what the lighting is going to be like. It's kind of scary going with the GH5, and sometimes you don't want to run with all that equipment, you know. But you know, with the Sony, you know, you can boost the ISO up to 4,000 and shoot video, and it's clean. You know, you don't even have to use any noise reduction. So but yeah, let's definitely talk about some of the pros of the GH6 and whether or not it's worth it. Right now, we do know that you will be able to shoot 6K, which is basically like 5.7, you know, K pixels, which is basically 6K, which is gonna be downsampled to 4K, and you can shoot, I believe it's 120 frames a second at 4.20, you know, vlog and so forth. Has to be a vlog. Now you can also shoot that internally, which is great. They also have Apple ProRes. They have Apple ProRes internally in the GH6, which is remarkable. However, it's not Apple ProRes RAW. You know, the 4K 60 it is 4K 60 422 10-bit. You can shoot, like I said, Apple ProRes internally, but not RAW. So it's, you know, definitely, you know, one of the probably the lighter compressed version, but you cannot shoot it raw. Also, the GH6 is said to have better roll and shutter, which I never really had too many issues with the roll and shutter. You know, I don't do too many pan widths, but even there, I know the Sony, like the Sony a7 III has bad roll and shutter. It's like, it's horrible. Even if you're going too fast on a slider, like left and right. I shot an interview with DJ Sus1 with my company, Jab Vision. I noticed on the slider at some points it was really warpy, you know. It was really bad. The roller shutter was really bad on it. Also, it's gonna have dual ISO just like the GH5 too. So they showed a couple tests. I mean, the low light performance outdoes the GH5S as well as the GH5 2. So I did see a video on that, and I was definitely impressed with that. So I'm hoping that, you know, we can actually get usable footage when it's really, really dark out with just minimal lighting. You know, I'll be very happy with that. Now, as far as the autofocus, they did say that it's 3 times faster than what is in the previous model of the GH line series. That's cool, but the question is it still the same technology? Is it still, you know, contrast based and so forth? So I think the method of which they do autofocus, I think that's the biggest issue, apart from the speed, because, you know, there's so many videos with GH5 of different settings and autofocus settings and all this, man. People going back and forth, but at the end of the day, I tried them all, and it was basically pretty much the same. You know, probably with a slight variation. At the end of the day, it was the same. It's just people just really trying to get somewhat usable autofocus out of the camera. I can't blame them for that, you know what I mean? Because it's a great camera. All in a nutshell, basically, is the GH6 worth the upgrade? Put it like this. If the autofocus is usable, I'm not looking for nothing as good as a Sony, but if it's usable, that I can actually depend on it. I don't mind waiting for it if it's a little bit slow, but if it actually works and it's not hunting, that's the main thing. The focus hunting. If we're not experienced none of that, that's a green light for me. The low light, I've seen videos on it, is doing better than the GH5 2 and the GH5S, but I would like to see it release and people actually test it and use it. And if I get some validation from other content creators that it is what it is and it's good like that, that's another green flag for me. ProRes internal, not raw, but ProRes is start, green flag. We talking 4K 20. 6K, on the sensor, downsampled. I think it's gonna have 6K. Not sure if it's 24 or 30. Definitely a win for me. Definitely gonna be a sale. I'm definitely gonna upgrade if I can get that. However, it's cognizant on whether or not that autofocus is usable. Because if it's not usable, you know what I mean? If I do decide to get the GH6, I am going to wait probably till the price comes down a little bit more, or I get a little bit more reviews on it. I don't want to just jump the gun on it, and I feel like I just got a GH5 with 4K 120. Like, I'm not paying $2,500 for that. I'm good enough using the HD 120. I don't even hardly use 120. Selling point. I don't even hardly use 120 that much. But yeah, guys, tell me what you think. Subscribe, like, comment. Open the discussion, man. Talk about other features that I might not have talked about with the GH6, that I might not be aware of. This is just what I heard, through the grapevine and what I read in our forums. But every day, new leaks are coming out. But yeah, go ahead and like, subscribe, man. I want to thank you for taking the time out watching this video. It's your boy Mel, and yeah, let's get it, man. LUMIX, just do our thing, and let's keep this Micro Four Thirds nation alive. This is the last company that's really keeping it alive, and I don't want to have to get rid of my lenses anyways, right? But anyway, I'm out. Peace.